Hello and welcome to Off-Track Small Talk with a Difference. Today, BSCDA TV has made the journey south to Slough to visit one of our sponsors, Simpson Exhausts. We're going to chat to main man Matt Simpson about his racing career, his business and his involvement with BriSCA Formula 1 stock car racing. Matt, thank you very much for inviting us down today. It's a brilliant place. Very much enjoyed the gates to come in. It was all very good. So we've come to talk to you because you're Simpson Exhausts and you're the main man. People watching this probably go, I've heard of Simpson Exhausts, I've heard of Matt Simpson, but maybe don't really know much about it. So I guess, who are you? Where have you come from?
Basically, I've always been starting oval racing.
Yeah.
Dad raced hot rods we started in 1974, I believe.
Yeah.
So obviously been born and bred into oval racing.
Yeah.
So from a very young age, I was going and watching and not helping, obviously at that age, but just remember Wimbledon and all the sort of old tracks that are no longer here, Ipswich, and yeah. And then obviously Dad progressed into hot rods, and then I started in mini stocks. I had a mini stock was back in the mid '90s, early '90s.
Oh, okay.
I done mini stocks, not BriSCA though.
Yeah.
Speedworth mini stocks.
Yeah.
I did that for a year, and then obviously decided I didn't like the contact back then, which probably some people are watching now probably think, yeah, and raced against me, think, yeah, right. But yeah, so I stopped, and I had a sort of 6, 8, 10 years off from racing. Yeah. Got a mortgage, sort of done the grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
And then I come back and started racing back in '03 in Legends on the ovals. So yeah, so I've been in sort of oval racing for a long time.
Yeah, but you've done touring cars as well, so you've progressed from Legends right up into touring cars. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did. I've done Legends, and then obviously the natural progression was National Hot Rods, because obviously Dad done for many years. Didn't quite get the world final. We had a couple of seconds, couple of thirds, but knocking on the door for a win. And I got to a stage where Dad started doing the silhouettes on the circuits, hot rods on the silhouettes on the circuits, and I always fancied to go. And we went testing one day, and I'll never forget it. It was absolutely monsoon rain at Silverstone. I said, come on, we've got to go out, we've got to learn. He's like, we're not going to learn nothing out in these conditions. Well, you take it out then, he said to me. And to be fair, it's the worst thing I could have done, because I really enjoyed the changing gear and the braking, turning left and right. So I decided after the world final in 2012, I was going to move on to circuit racing, which obviously I did.
Yeah. So getting into touring cars, because they're quite they're high up, aren't they, in that echelon of circuits? That's a big kind of jump, isn't it, to get from hot rods to touring cars?
It was a massive jump, and being, apart from the Mini, being all rear-wheel drive in my racing career, and then going to the pinnacle in British motorsport, to go into a front-wheel drive, I found really difficult at first, just getting used to the weight transfer and the way the car moves around. But yeah, I mean, it was tough, very tough, probably harder than I thought it was going to be. But never did I dream that I'd ever win a race, put it on pole, you know, and numerous other trophies that we won along the way. So, you know, really good memories. But it was very tiring, you know, trying to run the business, Simpson Exhausts, which I'm hands-on still, family, you know, fitness. It was full on for me. And it got to the point where I stopped enjoying racing. Which obviously, racing is supposed to be fun, a hobby. You know, we don't get paid to do it. And it took me a while to decide I wanted to race again.
Okay. So was that kind of touring car sort of stopped? Like, how many years did you do in touring cars?
So we did 4 years in touring cars. We always said it'd be 5. But 4 years, it was enough. And I think I took 2 or 3 years off racing altogether. And my lad was just started doing some karting, sort of mini-max and in Rotax. And he was doing really well. And he had a bit of an accident last year and broke his hand. And then I got my pickup truck, which I dabbled a little bit last year. And I found, you know, I was happy. I was happy again. No fun, you know, more fun, no pressure. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. Good,
because it is, at the end of the day, it is a hobby, isn't it? For most people that do racing cars, it's a hobby. You've got to enjoy it.
Exactly. You know, we all want to win. We're all competitive. But I say the touring car was just another league. You know, more money involved, which obviously adds to more pressure. And the more sponsors you get, you know, they want to come and they want a piece of you as well. And it was just, the pressure is, I can't describe the pressure that it puts on the driver. it did zap the enjoyment out of it altogether for me.
Yeah, because I guess at the back of your mind, you're going, I need to perform well because all these people have paid for me to do well and want me to do well, and it's that.
Exactly right. Yeah, and obviously, most of the touring car drivers haven't got day jobs as well. You know, so they were going at the gym and doing simulator work and stuff as their day job. Yeah. Where, you know, I'm in here at sort of 6 every morning, 6:15 every morning, working till 5, and then doing, you know, the rest of my stuff that I had to do of an evening. Yeah. Which obviously took a lot of my time up, and it did have a bit of an impact on my family life as well. Yeah.
Get that. Well, good, a great sort of background. So let's turn our attention to Formula 1 stock cars. You and I spoke at a Bradford meeting, I think 2021, I think. So the gate, and you said, hello, I'm Matt, and we had a bit of a chat. And then, so kind of where's your involvement in sort of watching Formula 1 stock cars come from then? Because it's not like, because you're quite south. We've come a long way south to talk to you today. So it's not, you know.
So sort of growing up, obviously Dad in hot rods, national hot rods, but always had a bit of a soft spot for the Formula 1 stock cars, always. And I suppose back when Dad did Euro cars, you know, we sort of, Pete Faulding used to race Euro cars, and obviously he come from the F1, and we sort of met different people, and I'd always go to Coventry if I wasn't racing myself on the first Saturday of the month, always. And that was just a natural thing. Me and the wife, before the kids arrived, we'd go on a Saturday night and have a walk around and see people and just enjoy a good night out. So we always used to like stock cars. And it's always been a dream, I suppose, to obviously get more into the F1 world. Yeah. Because obviously we're very much well known in the F2 world. Yeah. Hot rods, nationals, 2 litre hot rods, stock rods, and all the other formulas. But we haven't really sort of come in and sort of, not dominated, but had the majority of the exhaust on F1 stock cars, which has always been a market that I've always wanted to get into in a big way.
Yeah. So do you get to, you know, you're at Bradford, which is a good trek for you. Do you now get to watch many Formula 1 meetings?
I try to as much as I can, if I'm honest. Yeah. I try and get to a good sort of 5 or 6 meetings or more a year if I can. Obviously, with Northampton having the World Final this year, there's naturally going to be more meetings at Northampton this year, so which is easy for me because it's just over an hour. Yeah. And hopefully Dean won't charge me to get in, being Dean. But I will try and get to as many as I can, and it's just. It's a great evening out or a great day out, and it's lovely to see my name on so many cars, and it's just really nice to see because obviously my lad comes Ben, and he just sort of gets a buzz counting. Oh look, Dad, that's got your name on. That's got your name on. You know, do you do that one? Do you do that one? So it's really nice to sort of have an evening out or a day out and see a good night of stock car racing, and obviously see my name on cars and having the association with stock cars as a whole.
Did your son have a favourite driver yet?
Does
your son have a favourite?
Do I?
Or your son, or both?
Ben's got a soft spot for a driver. I don't want to upset. Or I suppose Ben's got a soft spot for Tom Harris. Yeah. Before Tom, when he used to race, he used to be Dan Johnson. He used to like Dan as well. Yeah. But I think that's through sort of the Pete Faulding connection that we had, because Pete was the first ever BriSCA F1 stock car exhaust we ever did for, back in 03 or 04. So, but yeah, he's a Tom Harris man.
Yeah. Perfect. And I guess you're not naturally from a stock car background, so you have lots of involvement with people from circuits and other formulas. How would you describe Formula 1 stock cars to somebody who'd never been before? You've come to your workshop and go, right, this is what they are. How would you describe it?
A few of the sort of not the high-end customers, the circuit people come in and they do say, what is that? Yeah. And my exact words were, if you need to go and see to believe, because they're just fast, they're loud, and they're just brutal.
Yeah. It's a great strapline. We should steal that.
It is just people look down to oval racing. You know, from when did the touring cars, and people used to ask. Some people ask, "What did you race?" Yeah. And I say hot rods. Oh, what, stock cars, bangers? Yeah. No. Like these cars now, whether it be mini stocks, the BriSCA minis, or a hot rod or an F1 stock car now, the level of preparation is absolutely phenomenal. And I look and think they can't get any better. But as years pass, the level just gets higher and higher and higher.
Absolutely. Right, let's go and look a bit more about Simpson's exhaust and kind of what you do. And I don't know nothing about exhaust, so let's go and tell me about them.
No problem.
So Matt, we sat and spoke upstairs about kind of your racing background. I guess it's time to talk about Simpson's exhaust. So where did it come from? What's the origins of the company?
So basically, obviously work experience when I was at school, at secondary school. I had to do a two-week work experience. Yeah. And Dad was really good friends with a guy that did exhaust systems for F1, NASCAR and IndyCar. Okay. So Dad sort of begged him to take me on for a work experience. He wasn't too keen at the time because he was like, no, you know, these young kids, they don't want to learn, you know, I've just got no time, too busy for them. Dad said, just give him a trial.
Yeah.
So we did this, so I'd done my work experience. After the first day, he rung and said, can Matt stay on? You know, because I was only doing school hours.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So anyway, we did the 2 weeks. After the second week, he donated X amount to the school for having me there, which was really nice. And he offered me an apprenticeship for when I left school, so after my GCSEs, which was amazing. So I always wanted to do something with cars, with Dad racing for many years, but didn't know whether it be mechanical or anything really. But I found the exhaust really, really interesting. So obviously, since leaving school, I worked for him for 4 to 5 years. But really sadly, he lost his life in a helicopter crash back in 1999. And then obviously I started doing a bit of private work at home, because obviously with Dad racing, Dad got us a TIG welder and the basics, and we started doing a bit of private work. It got to the point where I had so much on, I couldn't keep up.
Right.
And Mum and Dad pushed me and said, you know, have a go on your own, set Simpson exhaust up. And I was really nervous, I didn't have any drive to do it. And he was like, just do it. And so Mum and Dad did. Eventually they set me up back in 2003.
Yeah.
Where we obviously set Simpson exhaust up. And initially it was all oval racing exhaust, because obviously we was known in the oval racing world.
Yes.
Before we progressed into all sorts of exhausts now, where we do, you know, for rallying, hill climb, historics, you know, British touring cars, GT cars, all sorts. So it's been a really, really sort of tough 20 years now.
Yes.
But really proud, you know, to where we've got to and where we are, and the name and the brand that we've become.
Absolutely. So it's clearly grown and grown over time, which is fantastic. So, right, I know nothing about exhaust. When I was a lot younger, I had like a Nova SRI, and it came with like one of those noisy exhausts on it. Yeah. It's not that, is it? It's definitely not that.
Exhaust, you know, people think, you know, big tailpipes and stuff is more power, but exhaust gases and the pulses in exhaust are very important, and the way they scavenge. Yeah. Now, obviously, on a manifold, each primary pipe, each header pipe on a manifold always needs to be the same length. Yeah. Now, obviously, the exhaust most of the F1 boys used to use were American exhausts. You know, they were cheap, weld-up kits. But obviously, as time's moved on and other people have back-to-backed my exhausts, which they have, and gained big performance from. Okay. All of our exhaust manifold primary lengths, they're all identical in length. So from the face of the flange to the collector, they're all identical in length, within 5 to 6 mil, which means every cylinder has got a pulse. And the idea at the collector, all the pulses from the 4 pipes meet together and become one. Okay. Now, if they don't sort of collect at one, they're not going to scavenge and pull the performance out of the engine. Okay. So that's where the handmade and our exhaust makes so much difference. Right, okay, so it's purely, it's about performance for a stock car driver. I want better performance from my engine, and the exhaust will help and support and facilitate that. Exactly, yeah, I mean, back early when Pete Fording was my first one we did, back in 03, when he was world champion, he dynoed an American set of exhaust compared to a set that I made for him. Right, okay. An EC 40 horsepower, 40 horsepower gain, you know, from an exhaust, which is huge. Yeah. You know, you would have to spend a lot of money to find that much performance in an engine, where this was just a bolt-on accessory on the, you know, bolted on the side of a stock car. I get that. I now understand what you do and how important it is, I guess, which is brilliant. So the Formula One piece, you mentioned, you know, a variety of formulas that you do. Is the Formula One piece like relatively new? And who was your first Formula One? Was it Pete Fording? Yeah, so Pete obviously was the first one. Obviously we met Pete through the Eurocar, when Dad raced Eurocars with Pete back in sort of mid-90s. We did Pete's, and we did Nick Houghton's. Remember the Nick Houghton car with the side pods? Side pods, yeah. We did that for Justin Cole back then. Yeah. And then we did obviously Dan Johnson's and a few others. But obviously, I suppose the last year or so has been a massive rise in sales for us in BriSCA F1s, which has always been, as I said earlier, has always been a dream to try and, you know, get into the F1 market in a big way. It's just such a shame that it can't be an off-the-shelf item. Okay. Because there's so many different heads, different stub patterns, different chassis widths as well. You know, and some people like to have their feet on the floor. Yeah. If they're short, obviously they can have a raised floor. So we're doing all types. So everyone is really a one-off.
Yeah.
So we haven't really got a jig as of yet, but we are working with someone at the moment in trying to do like an off-the-shelf exhaust.
So basically, if you want you have to bring it to yourself, because you've got to kind of make, it's like a made to measure. It's like a suit. If I want a suit for my wedding, I've got made to measure. It's like that, isn't it?
Exactly right. Yeah, that's the way it is at the moment. We're trying to work with different chassis builders, trying to come up with a standard one for their car. But they're coming up with different configurations now. Some people want 4-into-1. Some people want a 4-into-2-into-1 exhaust. Yeah. Some people want bigger sizes. So it's really hard to cater for each individual with an off-the-shelf exhaust. Yeah,
Matt, it's fascinating, and I get it. So thank you for that. We're stood in your very lovely workshop. If it's okay with you, just have a bit of a walk around and kind of show me what you're doing in here, because there's some very busy people. So which is good for you, because they're earning money for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. But
just gonna have a look.
No problem. But I think I need to give you this first.
What's that?
We're a bit of an upgrade.
Oh, I like that. I do like that. It's very good. Thank you. I'll put this on. So Matt, we've got Kyle Gray's shell car in, and clearly you're fitting a new exhaust for him. So we're talking over there about different configurations and kind of what you do. So I guess you can practically show me that.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, Kyle obvious's come in, and we always ask the customer if they've got a preferred pipe size, as in header size, configuration, firing order as well. So obviously the way that the engine fires, it has to go in the order of that into the collector. So there's sort of numerous information we ask the customer. With Carl, he's come in, and obviously it's a Harrison engine. So obviously I've had to speak to Harrison to get the spec for the exhaust that he wants making to match his engine. So with this one, as you can see, it's a stepped exhaust, which obviously means it comes out the head. I think it comes out a certain length, and then it steps out to a bigger size.
Okay.
But this one is 4-into-2-into-1. Where majority are 4-into-1. Now, obviously, I've never done any sort of back-to-back tests on either or, but it's more personal preference or engine builder's preference, really. But yeah, so obviously that's all tacked up now. The other side's in production over there now, which we can show you in a moment. And the silencers are being made behind me over there as well. So we're hoping we're going to be done by tomorrow night, because Carl's been on my case already, sending me voice notes, just showing his young age.
So the end-to-end process. So, like, let's say I've got a stock car and I go, right, I want you to stick the new exhaust on it. So how long from delivery of car to collection of car? What's the?
Yeah, so we prefer a Friday drop-off. Between 8 and 3:30. So then that gives us enough time. We allow people to come in, we can then go through their projects with them, go through the job card, asking any particular information that they'd like being incorporated into their exhaust. And then all going well, it's a collection the following Friday, or it does sometimes roll into a Saturday morning, which we are open as well on a Saturday morning. But the sort of preferred is the Friday to Friday. So it's a week turnaround in start to finish. So they roll them in, push them in, because obviously they can't run them without an exhaust on, and they come away and hopefully they fire them up, because we like to hear the sound of the V8 stock cars.
And you're in a nice quiet area as well, so that's all right. You're not upsetting the neighbours, are you?
Might upset mum and dad, or maybe nan, maybe up the other end. But yeah, no, it's lovely to hear them start. To be fair, we have a lot of cars come in that are really early on in build. So they're a dry build, so they're not runners. But obviously, there's been the odd occasion where we've heard the Formula 1 start up, and the lads are all stood at the door. Oh, listen to that, which is nice, because obviously I hear them out on track full chat, really. But obviously, most of my workers don't really go racing at all. They've obviously got families and got their own personal interests, so they obviously love to hear the sound.
So you're tending to find it is new, like initially maybe newer cars, but are people like Kyle, obviously he's raced his car for a couple of years, can you actually, I just want to get that performance advantage from the car I've got, and so you're getting sort of older cars coming into you now as well?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're old or new, to be honest. I think with the stock car thing, I think we're becoming more of a brand now, I'd like to think. And obviously the likes of Kyle and stuff have noticed us, obviously seen or heard the difference that exhaust can make. And it's been great. Obviously, we've got Tom's been out there for a long time. We've just done Frank's new one, which I was amazed he rung me when I had this number with 303 on the end, ring me on my mobile. I'm thinking, who is this? And it was Frank. And obviously, we've done the Harrisons for many years, Ryan's as well. And obviously, say Fairhurst, we've done Lee Fairhurst, and numerous other sort of stars. So, and it's just lovely seeing them all coming through. And we've got probably I would probably say another 6 to 8 cars to do before the season starts as well. So
you're going to be busy.
Yeah. But obviously, it's what we wanted.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
it's what I wanted to be really well known in the F1 stock car world, which obviously is starting to be.
Yeah. Let's go look at your man over there then. Tell me what he's doing.
So, Jeremy over there is making the silencers for Carl's car. Obviously, they're all repackable silencers. So obviously they start out with as flat sheet. Yeah. And obviously they're hand formed and rolled. And we put these beads in to obviously stiffen the silencer up to stop them resonating. Yeah. And then you've obviously got the end baffles here, which is there. Yeah. Obviously the end baffles today slide in. So obviously we always weld one end in, which will be this end. So that gets welded in. Yeah. And the other end obviously it slides in, but then we put the repackable bit so they are serviceable. Yeah. So if they get too loud, they can pop the screws off and we can send the new packing out for them.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So they're the silencers for Carl's car.
Perfect. And then you've got the other bits over there.
Yeah. So Adams is over here. So this is obviously the other side of Carl's exhaust as well. So third pipe's nearly in. Adam's a bit camera shy over there, hiding away. All right. But yeah,
so you done this. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So obviously the third pipe's nearly in, is it? You're sort of you're nearly there, are you, mate? And then the last pipe to go in. Yeah. So that's part of the process. So so everything's all handmade, very time consuming as well.
So like you've got your different kind of workstations. Are they kind of like Adam? You said this is where he sits, and they've got all the different
everyone's got their own benches.
Yeah.
Obviously we're all sort of on hand if anyone wants a hold or a help or whatever. Then we're all just a really good friendly bunch. And
how many people you got working? There's quite a few I've seen knocking around.
I think it's 8.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's busy. Yeah. It is busy. Just trying to get everything done, deadlines. Phone ringing, which it hasn't so far, has it?
No.
It probably will do in a minute. But
It'll be Frank going, where's my exhaust?
It will do, yeah. But yeah, no, it's very busy. And everyone wants to talk to me. Yeah. Obviously, as I said, I am hands-on still. But the phone rings, they want to talk to me. Whether they probably think they're going to get a better deal or something, but they don't get treated any differently with whoever answers the phone. Yeah. But it's natural, I suppose. If I wanted to buy whatever, I want to talk to the company and try and get a better deal. Absolutely. So yeah, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, brilliant. I found that very interesting. Thanks so much for your. And just last thing, what's through that door? Is that a secret door? No,
that's where the tube bending's going on. Okay. So we can show you the tube bending shop, no problem at all.
Right, come on, let's have a look in there. So we've come into your tube bending department. There's big machines over there, which we'll see in a minute. So explain that to me, like what we're doing with this.
So basically, all tubes start out life as straight pieces. We buy the tube in 6 metre lengths at a time. Yeah. Obviously, a range of sizes from 1.25 inches to 3.5 inches.
Yeah, just saw a guy. They're over there, aren't they?
The tube racks around the corner there. So we cut the different lengths, and obviously we've got a lot of different bend radiuses and diameters that we do. So we basically the tube bender. Obviously, we slide the tube in, and we get a bend out just like that, whether it be a tight radius or a bigger radius, which we've got a range of tooling over there on the tooling rack behind Sophie. So obviously we sell a lot of components as well as obviously make exhausts. So this obviously will start life as that, and then obviously we would then mark and cut the angles required to make an exhaust system.
So you've got a stock car sat there,
and
you go, right, so I need to fit my exhaust to that stock car because you've got the chassis laid out, so you've got to work within a template. So then is all the bespoke piece come from that because you need to make it fit to what you've got?
Yeah, right, basically we don't use CAD or nothing like that. You can use CAD, but everything, because we've been doing it for so long, I can sort of visualise where I need to go, what radiuses, angles and stuff like that, which is just down to experience. Yeah. With the CAD thing, it does work, but I find you spend 2 days on a computer designing it, and then 2 or 3 days making it, where I can cut the CAD bit out and just do it hands-on in the car, in the installation.
Yeah, I get it now. So like before I walked in the door this morning, I was like, an exhaust, it's silver and it's shiny, but I kind of get what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you do it. So I really appreciate that. I think people find that interesting.
It's not just, like you say, an exhaust with a bit of tube. No. It has come on leaps and bounds. 10 years ago, we wasn't that well heard of, and everyone was a mild steel exhaust is what you need. Yeah. And they were all worried about going to stainless because they crack and stuff. But because we TIG weld, we gas purge the pipes, it's just they last forever unless they're going to get knocked off.
Yeah, absolutely. Which they could do in stock cars.
Hence why I want to be in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. We're going to go through there now in a last little chat before we leave you to your day.
No problem.
So Matt, we spoke at the beginning and when we were sat in your office about your involvement with Formula 1 and wanted to get more involved. People see your logo, gets on all our videos on stock cars. Is it purely a business thing? Like I want to get more business from stock cars, or is it actually I do really like stock cars as well?
Both, if I'm honest. Yeah, obviously I've always watched your videos, always admired your videos, always watch them with my lad. But yeah, I just sort of see that opportunity when I spoke to you and said, is there something we can do to be viewed on the screen? And obviously, I think it's working with the advertising as well, because numerous customers that have come in with stock cars have since said that they're pleased to see us supporting your page, you guys, and they don't mind putting money back into my pocket, if that makes sense. So, which is nice. You know, appreciation goes a long way. But as I said, you know, I love the stock cars. You know, I really do enjoy the noise, the sound, and the night out that it gives. Yeah.
Stock car seems like on a real up at the moment. It feels like that. You know, we've had the Top Gear piece, we've had the touring car piece, and I guess when people come in stock cars from outside, there's a real danger that might be critical of the sport. Well, it's bangers, but I think everything that's gone out has been really positive about what Formula 1 stock cars is. Oh,
massively. I think everything you guys are doing, you know, is just a plus for the sport in general. As I said, you know, you're everywhere, you know, and I think that is the bit with the way the world is now. You know, social media, YouTube, and TikTok, whatever it is we spoke about earlier. I don't know what it is.
TikTok, no.
But yeah, I think it's you're doing an amazing job, and I think you're only helping lift the profile of the sport, and it's just great to be a part of.
Brilliant. And this is your pickup. So
this is Dad's.
Is this your Dad's?
This is Dad's.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dad's. Mine's at home.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, this is Dad's. So yeah, this is what we race together. But yeah, no, it's only 8 meetings a year, which suits me, because then I can go out and watch more stock car racing with a bit of luck.
Absolutely. And with Northampton, the race an hour away.
I've got no excuse.
No, absolutely. Matt, thank you so much for your hospitality today. I've learned about exhaust. I think I could be an employee if I you know, needed a job. I'm sure I could come and work in.
Well, I am looking. I am looking. There is a vacancy if you fancy it. Yeah.
The travel time's a bit of an issue. It's the travel time.
We can put you up. I'm sure. We work around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do free publicity every day.
Oh, they'd love it.
Matt, thank you so much for your time today, and look forward to kind of seeing you at some stock car meetings this year.
Likewise, thanks for coming down.
Super stuff.